Everyone, David Nuno here, SEC Media Days, TexAgs Rewind, presented by Yeti. Busy show. We had John Nabors talking Bobby Petrino. He's an Arkansas insider. Good to get his analysis when it comes to them and also his respect for Texas A&M. We had Brian Hadad on Mississippi State. Obviously, Mike Leach no longer there. Thoughts and prayers to his family. But how is it going to look from a football perspective? Zach Arnett, the head man. So we talked about that. Greg Sankey on the program. And Jacob Goins, Auburn insider. This guy with Greg Sankey was phenomenal. You got to check it out. It's TexAgs Rewind.
Okay, I got one last for you. Absolutely. I want to know this. I want you to speak for the entire Arkansas populace.
I'm good for that.
What was the reaction to Bobby Petrino being hired at Texas A&M?
Do you want what the public reaction was? What Razorback fans want you to think is that it's like, hey, well, it probably won't work out. Petrino's not been an offensive coordinator in 20 years. But when they talk to you in private, they're like, we are scared to death because Razorback fans know what Bobby Petrino is capable of. Arkansas played Bobby Petrino last year when he was the head coach at Missouri State, and Missouri State probably should have won that game if it wasn't for a punt return by Bryce Stevens for a touchdown by Arkansas. And my friends, we love Bobby Petrino. I love that man so much. He is so great at what he does. And when we saw him run those offenses at Missouri State, we sat there. We were nervous as Razorback fans, but we sat there like, I love this. This is beautiful. The way that the slants, the great play calls and situational awareness that he has. And it's a scary thing to where if it works out for Texas A&M and if the whole Jimbo Bobby Petrino angle that everyone brings up works and clicks, I'm telling you right now, and to all those Texas A&M fans out there, you guys are going to be a problem in the SEC West this year because he is a quarterback mastermind. He knows how to get the most out of his offense, and he's dynamic where, listen, he won with Ryan Mallett, who's 6'7", 250 pounds, couldn't run. And he won with Lamar Jackson, who's a Heisman winner, who's completely opposite. So he can mold it into however he needs it to work. And I think that's A&M's the most fascinating team to where if it works with Bobby Petrino, A&M's going to be a threat in the SEC West.
You just moved up the rankings. People are like, I need more of this guy. Because
I hate to admit it, but it's true, man. It's true.
I see a bunch of Aggies doing like the whole heavy metal concert thing right now, bobbing their head.
I wish the camera was on you.
Yeah. It's going to be pretty hurtful when that Arkansas A&M game comes around and if A&M wins, which I'm sure they'll win on something weird like a safety, something random that happens. But if they win and their offense looks good, Arkansas fans are going to be hurting inside. He's like, man, we miss seeing that every day.
Would you have kicked off the Christian Kirk?
No.
That's great.
Like it's this, like, that's what I'm saying. Like there were so many dumb decisions. Like, why are you doing these things? And I still to this day, guys, we talked about the KJ Jefferson play. I still to this day have never seen a field goal hit the top of the upright, bounce straight up in the air, and then come back down in front of the goal.
We call it the oink.
Never seen it. Yeah. Oink doink. That's pretty great. That's pretty great, man.
How's the product on the field going to look this year with a lot of the same personnel? Not completely, but a completely different approach.
I think one of the good things about having veteran personnel, having a guy like Will Rogers, is that change isn't going to drastically destroy his confidence, right? He's seen everything. There's no defense in the conference he hasn't faced this year, and I think they'll be fine. It's going to be different. When you talk to Zach Arnett and you talk to Kevin Barbet, they'll be the first ones to tell you is like, we incorporate a lot of air raid principles into what we're going to do, but we also add the running game. State will be under center for the first time since 2017. Right. I mean, that's Moorhead and Leach never took a snap under center. And so that's going to be different. That's why I think that's why they're bringing Woody Marks today, so that you can get to see State's running back and a guy who I think could have a good season for Mississippi State once he's finally going to get some chance to get some carries and not just catch the ball 7-8 times a game. So there's going to be some differences, but there's going to be some similarities. It's all on Rodgers. He's got good players around him. He's got a good offensive line. Can he make the throws? If he can do that, State's going to be just fine.
Yeah. Talking to Brian Hadad here on TexAgs Radio. So Kevin Barbet was at Appalachian State last year, and we are very familiar with that style.
Yeah.
He's going to run the ball a lot. He's going to just tell me what you think the approach will be with the fact that he's got a style, but he's also got a quarterback with a lot of weapons. You kind of alluded to it, but how do you think it'll all play out?
So with Barbet, with Leach, it was, I run the air raid. And I don't care if you drop 11 guys into coverage, I'm going to run the air raid. And this is my offense, and this is how I run it. I think Barbet is a guy that if you give him opportunities to run, he'll take them. If you give him opportunities to pass, he'll take them. So State's going to, one of the first things they had to do was recruit tight ends. They didn't have one on the roster. Didn't have a single tight end because you don't run them in the air raid. And so they went out into the transfer portal and got Rylan Godey from Georgia and got Jaquarius Spivey from Arizona State, and so they could have some veteran guys. And they moved a couple position players around who played tight end in high school and brought them back there. So you're going to see those formations. You're going to see 2 tight ends. You're going to see 2 backs in the backfield. You're going to see all these different things. I think they'll be fine. I think they have enough veteran playmakers to be good. I think putting Tulu Griffin into the slot allows him to play his natural position. I think he's one of the most explosive guys in the conference. He's the best return man in the conference. I think they've got enough depth at receiver that, losing Ra Thomas, they lost Caleb Ducking, they lost Rufus Harvey, who's a name not a lot of people know, but he was their leading receiver last year. But they lose those 3 guys, but I think they have the depth there to overcome that.
In closing, and I've been talking to all my Texas and Oklahoma buddies, I say, you guys don't know what you're getting into in football in the week to week and the atmospheres. I haven't sat there in the Big 12 on the sidelines, and it's completely different. I mean that, like, you're going to love it. And I'm saying they're dominant across in this league, all sports. Is there one sport in particular that you look at recent hires or recent, things happening that you say, this is the fastest ascending sport in the SEC right now? This is one that's got me really excited.
That's an interesting question, because I have this responsibility to say, oh yeah, all 21.
Right, yeah.
One of the most rewarding things for me is the volleyball national championship that Kentucky won, which was in April of 21 at the end of the COVID year, because that sport was very tenuous. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of effort to play. Kentucky beat Texas in Omaha. Yeah. And we'd never won a women's volleyball national championship. I'm actually excited about what I sense is a renewed commitment in that sport. Mm-hmm. So that's coaching hires, it's the movement of the 2 programs in, but the commitment of Missouri, which when they moved in was a leading program, went through some coaching changes. Florida and what Mary Wise has done. Craig, and you look at a program like Mississippi State that in our league had not been very competitive, that's made the NCAA tournament. So it's kind of off the football beat path. I'm going to come back to your observation there in just a second. But I actually look forward to seeing what happens in the sport of volleyball in this league over the next 5 years. I think your analysis to your Oklahoma and Texas colleagues is spot on. What happens on a week-to-week basis in this league, that's part of the reality that you don't appreciate until you're actually in it. Yeah. And that's about opponents, but it's also about intensity. I've told folks my first year in 2015 when Alabama played at A&M, I walked into that stadium, and it was one of the few times where I'm like, what in the world am I doing in this job? Because it's packed, it's as full as can be, and I break the job down into segments. Well, when I was in Austin last year for Alabama and Texas, at halftime I did an interview. One of the reporters from Austin asked me, this is really incredible. And I'm like, no, that's familiar.
Yeah, I saw that.
This is who we are. And I think that on a week-to-week basis is a reality that does not exist in other conferences, perhaps the Big Ten, but I'm not sure at the intensity level that we have.
How are people reacting to the fact that I think most people in the SEC media are picking either Auburn or Mississippi State to be dead last? And this is with a completely different coach, and really half the roster's different.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't understand it. And I know I do Auburn radio, but Auburn's got some talent, and I don't think people understand how much talent they really have. And it's a completely different team. You just talked about that, a completely different team. It's a different coach, different coaching staff. And the most important thing, guys, is it's a different vibe this year. I mean, Auburn fans are excited about this season. They're going to show up. They're going to show out. I don't think a Penn State game happens again. And of course, I'm talking about last year when Penn State came to Jordan-Hare Stadium. Some of the most hyped up games I've ever been a part of was that, and then it was over by the first quarter.
Right.
And Auburn fans, that was it. That was the end of the previous regime. And so the fact that people, I think they've got that in their minds. I think they've got 5-7 on their minds, and the fact that Auburn has not been what they need to be over the last couple of years. Auburn's going to be sneaky good this year.
Yep.
And I think the floor for them, I've said this all week and I'll continue to do it. I think the floor is 7 wins, and I think the ceiling is 9 for this team. I think they're that talented. I think Peyton Thorne's going to be that good of a quarterback as a starter. He hasn't officially been named, but
that's the vibe. Yeah.
He's going to be the quarterback. I mean, you don't go get a guy like that for him not to be the starter.
And Robbie Ashford showed nothing to make you feel that he can be the guy.
Right. And that's the problem with that too, is the potential for Robbie Ashford's through the roof. I mean, he could be uber talented, and he is. He just hasn't put it all together.
All right, everybody, do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you're a subscriber to TexAgs.com so you can get all the premium access. And as a reminder, tomorrow you get your chance to vote for 23 in 23 if you're a premium subscriber. Your vote will count to 25% of that list. So make sure you become a premium subscriber and do it. It's TexAgs Rewind.